See how big it is? Ninja Foodi Grill Review. I'm Urvashi and my blog for kitchen gadget reviews is wouldibuy.this.com, and I'm going to walk you through an unbiased, honest view of this Ninja Foodi grill. Nobody's paying me for this review. I had to buy this fairly expensive grill on my own, so be sure to subscribe and use any affiliate links for the stuff you buy. Okay, grill. We're going to talk about the footprint, the capacity, how much capacity it has, how easy is it to use, how easy is it to clean, and then finally price. Okay? All right, let's talk about footprint. This thing is not small. My friend Ashley has a George Foreman grill because she lives in a cold climate. Unlike me, I live in Texas. I can go out 9 months out of the year, 10 months out of the year. But if you have a small little George Foreman grill or some small grill and you're planning to upgrade, this is a pretty sizable piece of equipment. See how big it is? Like this is bigger than a turkey. Okay, so it's much bigger than a turkey. But because of that, you can get additional functionality. So let me tell you what all it comes with. It comes with a roasting rack. It comes with a brush to clean it with, an air fryer basket with nice little handles, fairly sturdy non-stick finish, and a grill grate. Now I have to, oh wait, one more thing. And then there's more. And this big cooking pan. Okay. Now I have to tell you, I was one of the prototype testers for Ninja. They were kind enough to invite me. This was maybe 2 years ago, but they were kind enough to invite me out and get feedback on the grill. And it's changed quite a bit since. Okay, one of the most important things about this pan, which I learned the extremely hard way, is that there are bumps in here and in here. Just one. There's one little bump here. And all of these things have a bump. Okay, what was confusing to me, and I have to tell you, I've got a lot of skills. I am probably one of the best statisticians you've never met. I have no spatial skills whatsoever. Like, I get lost going from the office to home. So keeping that in mind, one of the things that really confused me was these things have two bumps. And this one has two little indentations, okay? The grill, for whatever reason, does not. And so I wasn't paying attention. I was like, okay, well, it's got two of them. So I put it in this way with the smooth part facing the bump. Huge mistake. Please do not do that. Please pay really, really close attention because Roger, my husband, needed to use a screwdriver and I've got a few scratches in here from jimmying this thing out. So please be very, very careful. This grill goes in like so if you're grilling. If you're simply roasting this, you put this in here, and I like this part that you use this bin, this outside cooking pan, as your main cooking pan. So you could put a roast, or you could put, actually you could put bacon in here too, although I suggest you air fry bacon. But you could put whatever meat here and have it drip down. So for example, if you're making individual meatloaves, I have a keto meatloaves recipe on my other blog, twosleevers.com. It would be really, really good to have that drip down here, and then you wouldn't have 16 different things to clean. So also with the air fryer, when you're putting it in, you put it in this way. Now you notice the other things take up all of the space. The air fryer leaves a bit of space on the side, so it's a little less capacity. What I love, however, is the rectangular shape with the rounded edges. This gives you room to put a whole lot more food in it than your traditional round one. So I have a review of a Ninja air fryer. I love the Ninja air fryer, but this has a lot more room, which, I mean, my God, the footprint is 1.5 times as much, so it should have it. What they were trying to do with this machine was allow you to do indoor grilling, okay? Now, the big concern that I have not yet used this machine, we're gonna do it together. The big concern I have is how much smoke it's gonna generate. Here's the air intake valve, so this has to stay clear. Here is where it's going to vent out. So you cannot, for example, have it against a wall or a cabinet because this smoke, hot smoke and steam is going to jettison out the back. So you just need to be careful about where it is you put it. You want clearance on the top and you're going to want clearance in the back. It comes also, in addition to those, with the usual riffraff, throw it out. Well, you might want to keep the manual. However, what you really need are these two. These are my air fryer cookbooks, Amazon, Target, Walmart, etc. You can buy them online. Just look for Urvashi Pitra. There's only one of me, and these are the books you need if you want to make something other than just French fries and frozen egg rolls. Nothing wrong with those, but you need real food. So check out these two books. So let's talk about the functions and features. So basically what you have is you have an air crisp, a dehydrate, roast, and bake, and then you have the grill panel over here with a whole bunch of other controls. The air frying is going to work because there is a fan and a heating element on top. Dehydrate is going to work because you're essentially going to take the temperature way down and the fan will help you. The roast and bake, I have a beef about this. So many of the other air fryers do the same thing, but the fact is the fan comes on anyway. So you're roasting and baking it in a convection way, which nothing wrong with that. But baking, traditionally, you would have heat from the bottom. Roasting, you would have heat from the bottom. The heat in here only comes in from one side. So let's talk about where it comes in from. One of the really nice things I love about this, which is going to help with cleaning, is they've got a splatter shield in here. It's going to keep all of the grease away from here, which should reduce the smoke. So typically when you get grease on this and this grease starts to sizzle is when you get white smoke. By the way, if you get black smoke, you've got a serious problem. Turn it off. When you're air frying, white smoke is okay. It's just the food venting. Black smoke is you've got an electrical issue. One of the other things it comes with is a little probe. This probe is what I'm most excited about. Look, there is no reason why you can't make a gadget that has a probe that a human being who is not a youngster can see. Anyway, there's no reason why you can't have a gadget that turns itself off when it reaches a certain temperature. This Foodi purports to do exactly that. So basically what you can do is you can put food in, you set a temperature, and then when it reaches that temperature, it turns itself off. I think that's going to be a phenomenal feature if it works, so we're going to test that. Okay, let's talk about this grill function. So let me turn this on, and on the grill, you can turn, by pressing the grill button, you can cycle through low, which is set at 400, 450 for medium, 500 for high, and max at 510. Now, realistically, if you were cooking this, the way you would use the 510 is for the last minute sear. So either you could sear it up front or a reverse sear at the end just to brown it. If you start to cook something at 500, the outside is gonna cook much faster than the inside, unless it's a really thin piece of meat, in which case, why are you grilling it? You could take all that guesswork out, however, and just use the probe instead. So remember what I said? You put this in here. You make sure that you don't screw up this little guy. You put the notched edge at the back. This thing is gonna get screaming burning hot, so you want to be really careful. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to cook bratwurst. It's 9:45 in the morning at my house, and the things we have to do for making these videos, we're gonna have the smell of sausages in my house. Okay, anyway, so let's do, you know what, let's do 450 and see what happens. And then you press start, okay? So it's gonna preheat. Oh, look at this, I like this. See, as it's preheating, it gives you a visual indicator of where you are. Even if it's totally made up, human beings like to see progress. So I like the fact that it tells you kind of where it is in the preheat cycle. When I was at Ninja, there were a few other bloggers, and then there were barbecue chefs out there. So we had all of us had a very different perspective. Every single one of us, except maybe one or two of us, really wanted people to understand that you do not need grill marks on a steak before it's a tasty steak. The grill marks are a visual thing that Americans, especially, I think, have gotten used to, so you expect to see these cross-hatch grill marks on a steak. Realistically, what those grill marks are is where the protein and the sugars in the meat have caramelized. If you haven't seen my Maillard reaction video, you probably want to do that to understand how the difference between browning and caramelizing. Okay, for browning, you need protein and sugar. For caramelizing, you only need sugar. So you're essentially putting in that burst of flavor into those parts that are charred. Well, if it's that good, why not have it all over the steak, right? Why not have it all over the crust? My favorite way to make a steak, by the way, is sous vide. So I have an article and a video on how to sous vide steak, and that is the absolute best way to do it. If you have an Instant Pot Ultra or a Nova or a Joule, you could do that, and then you could use this, something like this, to reverse sear if you want it. But the grill marks, this plate is probably going to provide some, at least the prototype did. But I'm just telling you, those are not essential to a good grilling. Okay. The main difference I think you're going to find in this, and I can tell you this just from the sort of the physics of it, is what grilling outside does for you is if you're burning charcoal or if you're burning wood, there are aroma compounds in the wood and the charcoal that flavor the meat. So it's not just the creosote taste. There's different aroma molecules in the wood. So people will have long discussions about, did you use mesquite? Did you use hardwood? Did you use hickory? Though that smoke not only cooks the food, but it coats it in a little bit of an aroma. That is going to be missing from here, okay? you're not going to get the same thing. You are going to get a good, hopefully round, caramelized piece of meat, but it's not going to have that smoky flavor. In fact, one of the things that I had recommended to them was, could you not create a place for wood chips? Like, could we not have some wood chips, you know, little shavings that you could put in there? So it says it's preheated. It's cueing me to add food. I got a ginormous, massive Costco-sized bratwurst thing. I don't know who's going to eat all of these. There's just Roger and me and the puppy. Did I tell you guys my dog had surgery? She did. So now she's limping around, poor girl. And so she's not in here. Normally, sausages, she'd be in here in a hurry. Okay, 7 of these. So now what I'm going to do actually is I am going to put a probe in. This thing closes well over it. You press the start button, you press grill, press temperature, press it once to change to Fahrenheit, once to Celsius, set your temperature to 155, and then do not press the on and off button, press the start button like a smart person. There's quite a lot of heat emanating from the back, so you do have to be careful. I will tell you one thing. I love most air fryers because they're safe for kids to use. With this one, the grill plate is going to get so hot, I would not allow young people to use it. Which, let me tell you a story that my husband hasn't heard either. I was a very curious child. That has not changed much. I also was a city girl, so I was not used to small town things. My mother lived in a small town up in North India. So we went up once in the middle of winter. North Indian winter is fairly cold compared to the rest of India. So they had this bucket with coals at the bottom. And it cast this beautiful red light, you know, and it was something unusual. I hadn't seen it before. So you cook in it, and then you can also kind of, you know, get heat from it, radiant heat from it. So I asked my cousins and my aunts what it was, and they said, oh, that's a chair, but it's a very special chair. It could be really special. I was 4. I wanted to be special. I sat on it and burnt my butt. My mother was very unhappy with my cousins and my aunts at that point. But hey, I was 4. You're allowed. I have not since sat on a grill. So hopefully I've learned something from then. Now, one thing I want to show you, I'm going to interfere with this a little bit, is see, the sausages are only going to brown where they're touching. So in an air fryer, typically, of course, you wouldn't toss the food. You wouldn't need to. But in this, just like with the barbecue, you are going to have to mess with it a little bit. So it's at 130. We set ours to 155, and then we're going to let it rest for 5 minutes and see how that does. All right, so the first thing I noticed right away is that it doesn't have an even browning on it, which bothers me a little bit. Now, I could have gotten a very even browning on it by air frying it. But one of the positives about it not being browned is that it probably hasn't dehydrated and dried out. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Okay, so it may look a little bit different from what you're traditionally used to. Hi puppy, she came. Yes, my puppy. Hello baby. It may look a little bit different in terms of the outer surface, but that sausage is cooked. See that? It's pretty well cooked. All right, so that's essentially how the temperature probe works. So what I have learned from this is wait a while for it to preheat. So plan that. What I would do is I would turn on, for my recipes, by the way, I don't have preheat because I'm counting that time into cooking. But then again, this is a grill function. The point is to get the grill hot. Be careful, honey, it's really hot. And you're dripping grease, which I will make you clean up later. Gracie likes it. It's actually very well done, and it's very juicy, and I'll tell you, the fast, hot sear made it pretty tender. You know how sausages can dry out sometimes? I think this did an amazing job. There was no smoke. That was my big concern. By the way, when I tried it, it was a prototype, and so it was not a self-contained environment. There was smoke everywhere. And of course, there were 6 of us cooking in a room, so that didn't help. So one of the really nice things about this is there's no smoke. So let me talk pros and cons. Pros, it allows you to grill inside. It's really good for people who have small apartments or don't have a backyard or prefer to do indoor grilling because of weather concerns. It has huge capacity. It holds a lot. Okay, and you saw it was like 7 massive sausages, 2 pounds of meat very comfortably fit into it. The temperature probe function is, to me, invaluable. The ability to set a temperature, not overcook your food and walk away, I think is fantastic. Who is it not good for? It's an expensive machine. So I think you have to take that into consideration. What will it replace? If you have an electric grill, it'll replace the electric grill, plus the air fryer, it will replace. The dehydrate function, I've talked about this before. Yeah, you can dehydrate. You can't set a probe for the dehydrate, but keep in mind, you'll have to put things in one layer in here. It's not gonna hold a lot, maybe a couple of apples thinly sliced, and dehydrate runs for a really long time. I think it's not good if you don't have the space. It takes up a lot of space. It's not good if you're expecting children to be able to just air fry things in it. They could with the air fryer, of course, but taking that basket out is more complicated. if your kids are taking this basket in and out, they're gonna have to use this. Some of the other air fryers, the whole basket comes out with a handle. That doesn't have it. So you are gonna need to be much more careful when you're cooking in this thing. So all in all, I think it's a good machine. I just think you need to be careful about who's actually gonna cook in it. Let me tell you something else. This thing actually has gotten fairly warm. So you definitely do not want this in an enclosed space like a cubby of some kind. I mean, come on, it's 500 degrees inside. Of course it's gonna get a little bit hot. But you're not gonna burn yourself. It's like a nice hot water bottle, but it does get hot. So you wanna be careful around that. Okay, I'm Urvashi. That was my review of the Ninja Foodi. I have two blogs. One is twosleevers.com for recipes, and then would I buy this for unbiased kitchen reviews. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching.